Hi, my name is Alec McClellan, and thank you for joining me. My presentation today is focused on our ongoing efforts to preserve the archaeological record of the ancient Maya settlement in the periphery of Lamanai, which is an important Maya site in northwestern Belize. The area surrounding Lamanai is threatened by modern construction, roadworks, and agricultural intensification. The Coco Chan Project, which is an archaeological project co-directed by myself and Dr. Cara Tremaine, spent this past summer using a DJI Mavic 3 drone to document the ever-changing landscape 5 kilometers from the Civic Ceremonial Center of Lamanai, capturing thousands of aerial photos over the course of a 4-week season. The photo in this slide shows the state of the archaeological record at Coco Chan, which is impacted by agriculture, cow pasture, roads, and houses, with only some of it that is still forested. The isolated limestone debris fields that mark the landscape are the remnants of ancient Maya houses. It is the record of these houses that we are trying to preserve. The Coco Chan project imported aerial photos into Agisoft, a photogrammetry software, to create 3D models of the terrain, creating a digital copy of the archaeological record. This presentation discusses the results of this project, but before we get there, let me explain why this part of the ancient Maya world is so important to our understanding of the past. Lamanai is a Maya center that has captivated the interest of professionals and non-professionals from many different positions and places in the world. It is known in the archaeological community for its extensive occupation history, which started as early as 1500 BC, continued uninterrupted through the social-political transitions of the 8th to 10th centuries, and became a seat of colonization by the Spanish in the 16th and 17th centuries, and finally by the English from the 18th century onward. A little less known are two of its neighboring sites, Coco Chan, which is 5 kilometers northwest of Lamanai, and Kakabish, a medium-sized center that is 10 kilometers northwest of Lamanai. These three centers of monumental architecture form a settlement system that I refer to as the Greater Lamanai area. Between the monumental centers of Lamanai, Kakabish, and Coco Chan lie thousands of small structures which represent the regular, common people who comprise most of the population in this area. This settlement system is significant for several reasons, but most importantly, scholars are interested in it because of its stability and sustainability, especially in the face of changing social-political composition of other sites in the Maya world and the mounting evidence of environmental instability in the form of periods of prolonged drought. The Civic Ceremonial Center of Lamanai is found in the Lamanai Archaeological Reserve, a 950-acre park devoted to the preservation, conservation, research, and protection of the natural and cultural environment. The main tourist sites, located on the map to the left, attract visitors year-round, with guests peaking between January and March. Although the number of tourists visiting Lamanai declined over the course of the pandemic, prior to 2019, the site frequently had over 200 visitors a day. Many of the modern communities that interact with Lamanai, whether it's tourists from far-flung countries or the residents of nearby towns and villages in Belize, recognize the site by its extensive civic and ceremonial architecture. They witness firsthand the High Temple, the Mass Temple, and the Jaguar Temple, three major structures that are protected by the Lamanai Archaeological Reserve. But the area we recognize as Lamanai represents only a portion of the Precolumbian people who inhabited the landscape in the past. As I mentioned, the Lamanai Archaeological Reserve is surrounded by thousands of undocumented ruined structures. This map you see here represents only a segment of the settlement system, which stretches over 10 kilometers into the interior, as well as along the shores of the new River Lagoon. These structures are the houses of the commoners who supported the construction of the monumental architecture that tourists see every day. The fragile archaeological remnants of these populations fall outside the protection of the Lamanai Archaeological Reserve. It is this portion of the archaeological record that is threatened by destruction year after year as the land is impacted by modern development. Thus far, we have identified 400 individual structures, many of which are formed into multi-structure plazuela groups, the common household arrangement found in ancient Maya societies. Two of the largest modern communities in the area are called Shipyard and Indian Creek. Shipyard, north of Lamanai and Cocobeach, and Indian Creek to the south are Mennonite settlements that have been expanding over the course of the last several decades, moving into areas previously covered by tropical broadleaf forest. The agricultural activities of the surrounding communities allow archaeologists to quickly identify and record evidence of past Maya settlement, especially if they are surveyed immediately after the removal of the forest, but after subsequent years of plowing, agriculture, and eventually cow pasture, the archaeological record starts to degrade. In the next several slides, I want you to focus on the forest coverage surrounding Shipyard and Indian Creek. In 1985, Shipyard was a small settlement with a few camps arranged around central roads. In 1987, Shipyard had a population of only roughly 2,000 people spread over less than 50 square kilometers. Most of the original community members immigrated to Belize, which was then known as British Honduras, in 1958. Indian Creek, which is shown on the map to the south, wasn't settled until 1988. In 1995, by 1995, both communities expanded towards Lamanai and Cocobeach. Shipyard pushed south, removing large tracts of tropical jungle, replacing palm with corn, and turning forest into highly productive farmland. Indian Creek did the same, expanding in all directions and moving closer to areas that were once heavily populated by the ancient Maya. In 1999, demographic information from Belize showed that the Mennonites had a birth rate well above the national average, a statistic that predicted the expansion witnessed over the next 20 years. By 2005, Shipyard and Indian Creek covered over 150 square kilometers, with the only remaining forest found in a 10-kilometer transect between Lamanai and Cocobeach. In the literature, we have referred to this area as under siege, as the Mennonite communities move closer to the Maya ruins, buying up new plots of land to transform them from forest to agriculture. By 2015, the transect between Lamanai and Cocobeach was disturbed by the continued expansion of agriculturalists moving into the area, with only several small plots of land still under forest, and of course, the Lamanai Archaeological Reserve, which has protected the forest and the Maya ruins for over 5 decades. Population estimates in 2018 show that the Indian Creek and Shipyard communities now have over 5,000 people, over 100% increase over the preceding 4 decades. In the next several years, the entire landscape between Lamanai and Cocobeach will be completely deforested, with the reserve as the last holdout of biological diversity in the region. Here's an aerial video of a plazuela group on a raised platform, as well as several other structures surrounding it. Based on the debris field, there were likely 3 structures on top of this platform, all dating to the 10th and 11th centuries. Similar to most of the settlement system outside of the monumental architecture of Coco Chan. Most notably, you can see the linear features that extend from each side of the ruined houses, the result of bulldozing activities in the area. You can also see on the far right an area of the forest that was just recently cleared for agriculture. Here's an aerial photo of a settlement midway between Lamanai and Coco Chan, which was surveyed several years ago. In this relatively small area, just over 1 square kilometer, we identified 87 structures, again, mostly dated to the terminal to early post-classic periods in the 10th and 11th centuries. Aerial photos like this give us a unique and previously inaccessible perspective of the spatial organization of Maya settlements and the alterations they made to their landscape. Not only does the settlement appear gridded, but it is also oriented north and has clear spaces or laneways between groups of structures. This is a contentious interpretation in Maya archaeology, as archaeologists rarely consider Maya settlements to be gridded, with a couple of notable exceptions, such as Baking Pot in the Belize River Valley. Also, the limited spacing between groups of structures, sometimes less than 10 meters, suggests that the settlement was too dense or compact to be characterized by forest gardens, and that the residents relied more heavily on outfield agriculture, as opposed to other sites such as Caracol, which has large spaces, sometimes up to 50 meters, between plazuela groups. Here's another section of settlement that was recently cleared just northeast of Coco Chan. Although the field is more damaged than the previous photo, you can still see the arrangement of several structures, especially in the right portion of the photo. This area was focused on this past season because it was undocumented, recently cleared of forest, and it offered us an opportunity to test the photogrammetry software. Here is a 3D representation of the field in the last photo, including a cow pasture to the south and another field that was previously surveyed to the north. I cannot stress more the importance of this technology in helping to preserve the archaeological record of the settlement system outside of Lamanai, especially in areas recently cleared for agriculture. Large sections of the landscape can be quickly surveyed, and the high-quality photos can be used to create a digital record of the archaeological resources in the area. This is especially important in areas where modern development continues to degrade the evidence of the past. Photogrammetry from drone photos can be used to create digital surface models and digital elevation models, aiding in structure identification and helping to document small structures, that is less than 1 meter in height. These are often missed by other remote sensing techniques, such as light detection and ranging, or LiDAR. In the image on the right, you can see the results of this process with contour lines that have been extracted from a digital surface model, showing 3 structures formed into a plazuela group. We will continue to use this technology in the future, following the expansion of agriculture and documenting the archaeological record before it is degraded to a point that it is no longer accessible. With this data, we will do 3 things. 1, create a digital history of the landscape. 2, add to a greater understanding of the ancient Maya in this part of the world. And 3, help to explain the unique cultural history of this settlement system in Northwest Belize. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you to everyone who made this project possible, including funding from the Social Science and Humanities Research Council of Canada and the efforts and support of the community of Indian Church. Thank you.